Hi viewers, I am Dr. M. Velavan, Faculty, School of Management, Shastra University. Today we are going to discuss about the life insurance business, learning objectives. After studying this topic, you should be able to define insurance and enumerate its main characteristics, describe the law of large numbers and explain its dual application in insurance, mention the requirements of an insurable risk, describe how insurance is different from speculation and hedging, describe the types of insurance, describe the difference between life and general insurance, difference between life and health insurance, difference between life and annuities, then describe the economic basis of life insurance, describe the demand for supply of life insurance. The last one is list out the benefits and cost of insurance. Now, introduction. Humans have always sought security. Humans have always sought security. Families, clans and tribes and other groups were the outcome of the motivating force to get security in olden days. Even today, there are groups maybe of employers, government or an insurance company, but the concept is the same. The physical and economic security formerly provided by the tribe or extended family diminishing with industrialization. Insurance is the more formalized means to mitigate the adverse financial consequences of unemployment, loss of health, untimely death, old age, lawsuits and destruction of property. The insurance industry occupies a very important place among financial services all over the world. Today, insurance affects people from all walks of life. Individuals as well as business firms turn to insurance for managing various risks. Every day, new coverage is added to the existing policy. The expanding scope of insurance highlights the governing importance of insurance to individuals and organizations alike. A proper appreciation of what insurance is and what it can do to help an individual or an organization is therefore necessary. So now you have to know the meaning of insurance. So what is insurance? Insurance can be defined both from an economic perspective and from a legal perspective. From an economic perspective, insurance is a financial intermediation function by which individuals exposed to an specific financial contingency each contribute to a pool from which covered events suffered by participating individuals are paid. From a legal perspective, insurance is an agreement by which one party, the policy owner, pays a stipulated consideration called the premium to the other party called the insurer, in return for which the insurer agrees to pay a defined amount of money or provide a defined service if a covered event occurs during the currency of the policy. Hence, insurance can be defined as a contract between two parties where one promises the other to indemnify or make good any financial loss suffered by the later, that means the insured, in consideration for an amount received by way of premium. Okay, here as an insurer has to pay a premium to the insurance company based on the policy taken by them. In other words, the party agreeing to pay for the losses is the insurer. The party whose loss makes the insurer pay the claim is the insured. The consideration involved in the contract or what the insured pays to the insurer is called premium. The contract of insurance is referred to as the policy. The contract of insurance is referred to as the policy. Okay. Losses cannot be determined beforehand, but certainly can be reimbursed if and when they occur by insurance. For this, people facing common risk come together and contribute a fixed amount towards a pool, out of which they are reimbursed if and when loss occurs. This point can be made clear with the help of the following example. If there are 100 houses in a locality, each of the value of rupees 2 lakh, and every year one house gets burnt or burnt down or destroyed, then the 100 owners will have to contribute an amount of rupees 2,000 each to create a pool in order to be able to reimburse the loss amounting to rupees 2 lakh faced by one unfortunate owner amongst them. An asset of any nature, that is the outcome of the efforts of the owner, has an economic value, and any damage that occurs to the asset making it non-functional in turn leads to a loss where the owner cannot derive benefits that he was enjoying earlier. Thus, it becomes necessary to replace a repair such as asset for the continued benefit of the owner. So every individual is endowed with a potential to earn. If he is disabled, he cannot enjoy the same level of earnings. Okay, because the disabled person, they are not doing like this. So in the event of his death, his family suffers loss of earnings. Okay, so it is the context that insurance assumes importance. If the assured is insured or the individual's life or earning capabilities are insured, then any loss or damage to the asset or to him would not affect the lifestyle of the owner or his dependent to a very great extent. The owner or individual may suffer a loss, but it is made good by the insurer, as the owner or individual, by getting his asset or himself insured, is transferring the loss to the insurer, thus making him liable to reimburse it. Okay. Insurance is therefore, from the point of view of an individual, the financial arrangements whereby the individual can substitute a relatively small definite cost for a large uncertain financial loss. Okay. The predictability of a loss forms the base of the insurance system. So here I hope all of you have understand what is insurance. Okay. Now we are going to discuss about the main characteristics of insurance. From the definition of insurance and the example given above, the following important points relating to an insurance plan emerge. Okay? The following important points. Number one, pooling of risk and risk reduction. Number 2, the law of large numbers. Number 3, probability theory and the law of large numbers. Number 4, payment of fortuitous losses. That means accidental and unintentional losses. Risk transfer. Fifth one is risk transfer. The last one is principle of indemnity. Now, pooling of risk and risk reduction. The pooling of risk or the sharing of losses is the heart of insurance. Pooling of risk means the spreading of losses insured by a few over the entire group, so that in the process average loss is substituted for actual loss. To accurately predict the future losses, exposure units in large numbers have to be grouped together to bring in the application of the law of large number. For this, there has to be a large number of exposure units facing the same or similar kinds of perils. In simple words, pooling is an insurance context implies two things. Implies two things. One is sharing of losses by the entire group. Number 2, using the loss of large numbers to predict future losses. Loss sharing can be well understood with the help of the example already given, where the house owners of a locality create a pool to reduce the burden on the owner in case of any damage to the house. Also, the future losses can be better predicted with the use of the law of large numbers. Many lines of insurance risk reduction are based on the law of large numbers. The use of the law of large numbers helps the insurer to minimize risk based on his experience. The second, what is law of large numbers? So here you have to know the meaning of the law of large numbers. The law of large numbers states that the greater the number of exposure, the more closely will the actual results approach the probable results that are expected from an infinite number of exposure. If there are large number of exposure units, the actual loss experience of the past may be a good approximation of the future loss. To change premium that will be adequate for paying all losses, expenses and margin of profit. The concept is important to insure because we can predict future loss with a great degree of accuracy as the number of exposure increases. This can be well understood by an example. While the probability of getting hits 5 out of 10 times by tossing a coin in the air is exactly half, it is not necessary that heads will appear 5 times only. It can appear 8 times also. However, as the number of tosses increase, the probability of heads and tails appearing equal number of times increases. Insurance is a business based on the previous experience of damage and loss. The actual loss comes close to estimated loss, where the number of assets or individuals exposed to similar risk is large. The law of large numbers gains importance here, since the amount of premium to be charged depends upon the expected loss, which should enable the insurer to meet all the expenses and claims that arise and also allow for reasonable profit. The next one is probability theory and the law of large number. The probability refers to the numerical value assigned to the likelihood of occurrence or non-occurrence of an event, and then predicting a future event. The theory assumes that though an event happens at random, it actually occurs in a regular pattern when a large number of trials are made. An event sure to occur has the probability value of 1, and the impossible event has the probability value of 0. Thus, the event with values near to 0 is least likely to happen, and that even assigned a probability closer to 1 are most likely to happen. Thus, probability always varies between 0 and 1. The next one is interpretation of probability. The probability is interpreted in two ways. Number one, the relative frequency interpretation. Here, where the probability of an event is based on the repetition of an event occurring over a large number of trials. Second one is the other interpretation is subjective interpretation. The first one is frequency interpretation, relative frequency interpretation. The second one is subjective interpretation. This involves the degree of belief in the occurrence of an event. For example, the chance of a scholar getting a job may be assigned 0.8 or even 0.2 based on different degrees of belief. Determining the probability of an event. In relative frequency, probability is computed in two ways. First, a prior probability that is based on underlying conditions causing an event. Example, probability of a coin showing hit when tossed is 0.5 or half. It is assumed that the coin is balanced and that there are no two possible outcomes which are equally likely to occur. However, this concept is of least relevance for a single trial. It is useful only when it is involved a large number of trials. So this is referred to as the law of large numbers, which states that the observed frequency of an event more nearly approaches the underlying probability of the population as the number of trials approaches an infinity. A prior method is not widely applicable because determining causality is rather impractical. Here, the second approach of probability, which is based on the secondary data, is used. When the underlying probability of an event is unknown, this concept of posterior probability is used. Example, the probability of an immunized child suffering a measles attack is 0.002. It implies that there was a survey on children affected by measles, and the result shows that out of 1,000 immunized children, only 2 were affected by the measles. After considering the frequency of occurrence of various events under constant conditions over a long term, an index is prepared of related frequency of each possible outcomes. This index is termed as a probability situation. The probability of an event is estimated by the average rate of expected occurrence of an outcome. We also use a simple statistical technique to estimate the probability relating to a population. So when population is too large, we take a portion of it called sample and apply the estimate to the entire population. So the large the sample size, the more reliable will be our estimate. So dual application of law of large numbers. We have seen the role of the law of large numbers in sampling. We can also observe that not only do we have a close estimate of probability when large samples are used, but also these eliminates are not applicable to same sample sizes. We cannot take the deviation of 6% to be to be the same of the sample size of 1000 and 10,000. Thus, the law of large number has dual application. One is large samples give an accurate underlying probability. So that the probability estimates must be applied to a large sample size for the probability estimate to work itself. Okay. This next point is payment of virtue tests, or accident and unintentional losses. Here, the insurance deals with covering of losses which are accidental in nature. The insurer should cover all unexpected and unforeseen losses which occur at random. To put it differently, the loss should be accidental ones and a result of chance and not deliberately caused. A person may fall while descending some steps and break a limb. Such a loss would be an accidental loss and hence would be covered under insurance. The next point is risk transfer. The contract of insurance is one where the risk of one party is transferred to the other, who is the insurer, who is usually in a stronger position financially and can easily make good the loss of the insured. Risk of death, illness, debt, etc. are the examples where the risk of the insured can be transferred to the insured. Thus, the most commonly adopted form of risk insurance is risk transfer is insurance. The most commonly adopted form of risk transfer is insurance. The next point is principles of indemnity. The life insurance is not a contract of indemnity, but property insurance or personal accident insurance contract of indemnity. The life insurance is not a contract of indemnity, but the property insurance or personal accident insurance contracts or contract of indemnity. Indemnity merely means making good any financial loss suffered by the insured and put to him or her back in the same financial position as he or she was before the occurrence of the loss. It is the duty of the insurer to make good the loss suffered so as to enable the insured to again derive the benefits from the insured assets as he used to earlier. An example is the householder insurance policy, where the insurer pays the actual loss to the policyholder in case of any theft or damage that has been caused to his household appliances or gadgets covered under the policy. In accordance with the principle, the insured cannot claim more than the actual loss caused to an insured risk. Okay. So these are all the essential characteristics of the insurance, life insurance. So now we are going to discuss about the essential features of an insurable risk. Though insurance prefer insuring only pure risk, all pure risk cannot be insured. For risk to be insured, they should meet the essential requirements indicated below. An insurance based on the law of large numbers. It is necessary that there are a large number of similar exposure units which make prediction of future losses possible. The next one is the loss that may be caused must be measurable in financial terms. Next, the loss caused should be the result of an accident or a fortuitous event in nature. Next one is ideally, or the loss should not be catastrophic. That means affecting a large number of exposure units at the same time. Affecting a large number of exposure units at the same time. The insurance assumes that out of a large population, only a small percentage of people will incur loss at one time. This is necessary, otherwise the pooling technique will not work. In reality, though, catastrophic risk are insured. The next one is, it should be possible for the insurer to calculate the chance of loss with a reasonable degree of accuracy, as this is a major consideration in determining premium. Next one is the premium fixed for the risk should be affordable. If the premium is too high, the insurance will not be appealing to prospective customers. The next heading, next topic we are going to discuss is the fundamental difference between insurance and other concepts. Insurance is the equitable transfer of the risk of a loss from one entity to another in exchange for payment. It is a form of risk management primarily used to hedge against the risk of a contingent and uncertain loss. An insurer or insurance carrier is a company selling the insurance. The insured or policyholders is the person or entity buying the insurance policy. The amount of money to be charged for a certain amount of insurance coverage is called the premium. The risk management, the practice of appraising and controlling risk, has evolved as a discrete field of study and practice. But most of the time people are confused about the concept of insurance. Following are some of the difference between insurance and other concepts. Number one, insurance and gambling or wager. Gambling, also known as a wager, is betting on chance and is highly speculative. One of the wagering parties loses whether the other person wins from a wager. Before entering into a wager, there is no chance of loss and therefore no risk. As soon as a wager is made, a new risk of the prospect of losing the wager is created. On the contrary, in case of say a fire insurance, the risk already exists and no new risk is created. When insurance is affected, all that happens is made of the determined premium by the proposer and acceptance of risk by the insured. In the other words, no new risk is created, but an existing risk is transferred to the insurer through an insurance contract. Okay. It is also relevant to notice that insurance serves a social relevant purpose, as both the insured and the insurer have a common purpose, namely loss prevention. It is a win-win case when no loss occurs. Even when loss occurs, the insured is restored to his original situation financially in accordance with the terms of the contract. On the other hand, in gambling, the loser is not indemnified under any circumstances. The following are the basic differences between gambling and insurance. An insured must have an insurable interest in the subject matter of contract of insurance, which is not required in the case of a wager, where the interest is only restricted to the stake owner lost. Here you see the following differences. An insurance contract is guided by the principle of utmost good faith, which is not required in the case of wager. Then the insured event may or may not take place in the case of insurance, but in case of wagering agreement, the event takes place at a fixed future date. Then insurance is based on mathematical prediction, but gambling is highly speculative in nature. The last one is the insurance is enforceable by law, whereas in gambling, none of the parties has any legal remedy. So these are all the difference between insurance and gambling and wager. Okay. The features common to gambling and insurance are promise of payment in the happening of a certain event, number one. Number two is amount receivable not commensurate or proportional to the amount paid. The last one is difference between insurance and gambling. So, to sum up the difference between the insurance contract and wagering contract below, you see you have to provide, in left hand side and right hand side. Left hand side is insurance contract and right hand side is wagering contract. These are all the differences. In insurance contract, insurable interest is essential, but here not recognized in law under wagering contract. Under insurance, identity is known before the event, but in wagering contract, loser cannot be identified until after the event. In insurance contract, full disclosure is required by both the parties, but in wagering contract not required the full disclosure. In insurance contract, an indemnity is secured. In wagering contract, payment is made without suffering loss beforehand. In insurance contract, enforceable at law, but here it is not enforceable at law. It is no legal remedy.